Hey, Harley. So look what we got dropped off today. We got this whole front frame dropped off, and I really wish they had cut it a little bit shorter, but that's okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the frame here, because I really don't need anything from there back. The transmission crossbar is rotted. This is off an old GM car. I'm not even sure what it's off of, to be honest. The guy that gave it to me knows what it's off of it. So what we're going to try to do is take out these control arms and then try to make them work like those ones were. So I'm thinking I may have to move this hole up a bit and then re-drill it and then take out those bushings and put these bushings into it. A lot of you guys are going to say, why don't you just cut out this whole frame section and put it in? And yeah, honestly, it would work. It would work, but that's a lot more work than this. I'm going to try to keep the steering rack inside a burn barrel. But if it does break, I'm going to keep that steering rack. I'm going to keep the bumper shocks. I'm just going to cut them off the frame horns. And we're going to go from there. But the first thing we got to do is get these control arms off. But I honestly think I'm just going to have to cut these off because I don't think they're going to come off very nice at all. I'll try to take them off the proper way. Again, ball joints are going to have to come off and all that. You can tell this thing has been sitting for quite some time. Even the control arms are pretty rotted, which is actually saying something. But anyway, so we're going to try to put some of these parts into the front of this car. I still want to keep the aluminum just because of basically how easy the aluminum is. So let's see what we can do. We're probably going to have... Oh, look at the bug. Where have you been all your life, buddy? Probably going to have to cut the control arm down like this to get it to clear the strut design of this car. And honestly, we're just going to play with it a bit and see what we have to do and what we can do. So I'm going to start taking this thing apart and see how far we get. Well, this was a bit of work. So I'm not sure of what height I'm going to go for. Right where I'm sitting, it's pretty damn tall. Let's try to find a tape measure. Here we go. There's a tape measure right there. Okay, to bottom of frame at the front, I am 24 inches. That's a bit tall for me, and I think that's a bit excessive for this car. So what I'm thinking is if we just take off this bungee cord, it goes a little bit lower. Let me just see if I can do this with one hand. I doubt it. Just shove this pipe inside there, just like that. Perfect. Now we come down. Okay, so right there, to bottom of frame, we're talking 20 inches. Oh no, 21 inches. So that little difference right there gave me 3 inches less. I think that's where we're going to stay. It's not bad on the steering. At that super high height, it's going to be very hard on the steering. This pipe is probably not how this thing's going to stay. This pipe is just tacked in there to give me some points of reference. So this right here is off that GM frame that is right there. So what we did is, let me just get this thing on the table over here. We removed this bushing and this bushing, and then we cut this hole bigger and cut this hole bigger, and then we installed the Ford bushings. I haven't tack welded them yet, but I will do it when it's in there. Now it's a bit wider, but when you tighten those bolts, it actually brings this control arm together and kind of compresses it a bit, so it does work. It actually looks pretty good on there. It looks actually right at home, to be honest. So I'm pretty happy about that. The only thing that I do not like is the steering. I'm probably going to have to cut the steering and redo it because now with the extra height, the tires are probably going to toe in towards each other pretty hard. So I'm probably just going to cut it and then cut the tie rods off that frame and then redo all the trigonometry for the steering on this. I am a little nervous about the pipe on the aluminum, but what I'm thinking about doing is just having a plate that comes from here that goes across to the top of there with the plate sits on it and the pipe, and then I'm going to put some more stuff down there, so don't worry about that. But this side here is mocked up. It's all bolted back together. The tire is on a bit of an angle outward. Alright, it's on a fair bit of an angle outward, but I'm not overly concerned about it. This one here is like that too anyway. So what we're going to be doing is over here, the strut is already broken and there's already been a bolt welded onto it. We're going to be taking the control arm off, we're going to be taking the tie rod off, we're going to be cutting the sway bar links. We're going to be getting this side to about the same spot the other one is. I really hope this side comes apart a little bit nicer than that side, because I did have to actually cut a lot of that apart on the other side. But we're going to take this apart right now and let's see how she goes. That didn't take us long. We got everything torn down. We got the tie rod off. Come on, come on. Anyway, it's just sitting there. Don't worry. Now what we need is this. And where's the other one? There it is. Right over there. Way over there. These are the pieces of the control arm that actually bolt to the aluminum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a mini grinding disc and I'm going to cut there and there. And then there and there. And then remove this bushing. And then I'm going to take my plasma cutter and I'm going to cut around here, and then do the same thing on this side, and then slide those in, and then reinstall this upper control arm into the car. It won't take me that long, maybe 20 minutes, and we'll be back at her. Let's go for this then. Let's do this. Let's do this! You're still with me wherever I go. We've gotten pretty far on this. What we're going to do now is just loosen this and drop it. We're not going to drop it. Don't drop it, guys. I'm going to slide this bushing on like so. Finger tight it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the other bushing, because I dropped the other bushing. Ta-da! I found it. Now what we're going to do is take this one off. Just going to put that over it and slide in our bushing. Now, we have to loosen this one just a bit, just to get this bolt started. Once it's started, there we go. So as you can see, there's a bit of a space there. Now, we could probably put washers there and take up this space so that it's the way she's designed to be. But what I'm thinking is we're going to tighten this thing down and go from there. So, impact gun. So I just want to tighten this one up a bit. Definitely the wrong size. Just want to tighten this one up a bit. Definitely the wrong fucking size. So we're just going to tighten this one up a bit. Now we're going to switch to the other side, tighten it up a bit. Now we're just going to tighten them down all the way because I got a full nut. Ugh. There we go. So now we can jam our ball joint in there. Just like that. Now obviously that's even taller than the other side, so that's not going to fly. Let's get that ball joint nut on there and go from there. And there we go. So now, I'm just going to cut a piece of pipe to go in here the same length as the other side, just so I can sit it down and get a rough idea of actually how tall this thing's going to sit. And I'm going to probably try to put air in that back tire, so that way it's kind of level. Maybe I'll put it up on jack stands, I don't know. Just to get a rough idea of how this thing's going to sit. Okay, so I got 19 inches of pipe in either side of this for the height. And she's pretty tall. She's 21 inches. At that height, I don't think it's stressing out the ball joints. I don't think it's going to be stressing out the tie rods or anything like that. Now, I am going to be replacing the tie rods with bolts because they're actually both kind of seized on there. The only thing that kind of bothers me a bit, I could change it, but honestly, I think it might work out for the better. The tires kind of lean this way, and here in Ontario, these cars have to fight it out with W bodies like crazy. W bodies are tire killers. So if I leave that out like that and the W body hits it and it does try to fold that lower control arm in, it's straighter. My idea was to cut this just a little bit like this, just to slide this in a bit more. But if I do that and it gets hit and it gets folded, I don't know. I think that this is going to be okay. The tie rods are okay where they are. That tire is okay. This tire looks like it's on a little bit more of an angle, but it really ain't that bad. I think it's okay. I might do a little bit of messing around with it, see if I can pull it back in a bit and see if I can do anything. But honestly, I think this is going to be fine. I think that this looks good. I might screw around with the control arms a bit and see if I can maybe bring them in a bit more, but I'm not going to go crazy on them. Maybe if I bring them in a bit more, I can weld them to the frame just to try to get a little bit solid, a little bit more support, I guess. But so far everything fits. They're a little long, but you would assume they're long because of how far back they mount on this as well, right? And everything seemed to went together pretty nicely because it's now a GM control arm with a GM spindle with a Crown Vic lower. And anyway, it's just a mishmash of parts. Yeah, I'm going to weld those pipes in there now. I'm actually pretty happy with where they are. And I'm just going to weld them in there and call that done, because in my eyes that's done. I'm going to pull the front tires off and do a little bit more work underneath there. And then maybe just weld up those bushings at the top. So let's get going on that. Well, we got this thing down on the ground. We got air in all 4 tires now. 2 new tubes, and they're good to go. I guess they just had a rough day. Even with the big tires on the back and the small tires on the front, this thing sits tall. Steven actually used a word for it. Says it's jank. I think that means it's good. You said it was jank! The camera.
Oh, sorry, I messed that up.
Okay. So there's still plenty more work to do to this car, but now that it's sitting tall, that is one of the things he said. What he said that he wants is he wants it sitting tall, he wants a new bumper on it, he wants it to run good. So it needs still needs a starter. I haven't got that far. I haven't even got the hood off the damn car yet. The bumper's probably going to be starting to be cut off tomorrow, and then we'll be trying to make this thing run with a new starter very shortly. Yeah, so parts off other cars are going to be going on to this. This 74 Oldsmobile 442 bumper has seen better days. It was pretty rotted in the first place, but it's completely garbage now. But Burn Barrel / Meatloaf is coming along. She's sitting proud and tall. And what do you guys think? I think it looks mean. Leave a comment down below if you guys think it looks mean. And see you guys back here tomorrow on Zach's Workshop.